I have his ID in my hand like this, and I turn and I look because my supervisor said something, and he reached out and snatches his ID. I'm like, whoa, hey, hold on, man. He's like, what? It's my ID, isn't it? And turns and walks all the way out.
Deputy Kelly, I was just coming to talk to you about that incident with your ID.
Okay. I had gave it to my brother who's right here.
On March 15, 2024, Milwaukee County Sheriff's deputies were dispatched to General Mitchell International Airport after a man presented a fraudulent identification document at a federal TSA checkpoint and then fled the terminal. What began as a routine identity check would unravel a multi-state fraud operation involving over $240,000 in counterfeit checks.
Magnifying camera. And the ID is totally bogus. Every square inch of this thing is pixelated under the camera. So I'm like, this is fake. So I call my boss up. He happens to be off the checkpoint at the time, so the guy starts getting a little antsy, and he's like, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom real bad. Where's the bathroom? I'm like, well, there's one on this side, we'll get you in, whatever. He goes, no, man, I gotta go right now, I'm like, well, it's over there, I can't, hold him. So he walks over there. While he's in the bathroom, my boss comes up. He goes over to the bathroom and finds the guy and brings him back. He then calls, the CC and everything like that. And the guy's like, yeah, my flight's leaving, man. It's 5:40. I'm just going to rebook. And I'm like, oh, they can do that for you down at the gate, man. We're just going to get this thing, squared away, whatever. I have his ID in my hand like this, and I turn and I look because my supervisor said something, and he reached out and snatches his ID. I'm like, whoa, hey, hold on, man. He's like, what? It's my ID, isn't it? And turns and walks all the way out in the parking lot.
Okay.
And so my supervisor kind of followed in that way. I called over the radio saying, well, he said he was going to rebook. So I think he went downstairs, my boss did, to ticketing to check with them. The guy certainly did not. He walked straight out into the parking.
Do you know what he looks like?
He was a fairly tall black male, about your height, kind of like mini dreads, where they're about that tall.
Yeah. Thinner build or bigger build?
He's bigger. He's bigger, like a light colored jeans he's wearing real low with gray boxers.
Okay.
And he's got a green camouflage backpack with orange piping.
So black male, about 6 feet.
Was he wearing a coat or a t-shirt or?
That I don't remember.
Did he have any jewelry or stuff like that?
Not that I saw.
Right. Any teeth grill or stuff like that? Or?
Thought he had some facial hair, but nothing teeth-wise that I recognized.
Okay.
Dreads.
If you want, I'm
black
gonna
male,
go search
6
real
foot.
quick, okay? Hi folks, quick question for y'all. Did you happen to see a African-American male about my height, maybe about my build, maybe a little bit thinner, he had a green green backpack with some orange tubing? Did he happen to walk this way?
I just got here a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
And did not see anyone like that here or elsewhere. I was downstairs in the ticketing area before I came up here. I did not see anyone like that there either.
And you guys have been staying here for about 5-10 minutes?
Oh, not even 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you all.
Deputy Kelly, I was just coming to talk to you about that incident with your ID. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with that.
Okay. I had gave it to my brother who's right here.
Here, you can say something.
Okay.
Yeah. Your brother's here. You can sit down. I'm 410, I already told him. Do you have you gave your brother your ID?
Yeah.
Alright. Where's your brother at?
He
Alright, you don't have to go for any of this.
Okay,
What is your last name? You can sit down.
Okay.
Alright, I've said multiple times. Just stay seated.
Yes, hello.
Alright, what's your last name, man?
My last name is Payne.
What?
Payne.
P-A-Y-N-E?
Yeah.
Alright, first name?
Nicholas.
N-I-C-H-O-L-S
H-O-L-S.
A-S or just S?
Yep. S.
O-L-S?
Yep.
Alright. Middle initial?
D.
Your ID is going to come out of Wisconsin?
No, it's coming out of Tennessee.
Tennessee?
Yep.
Alright. So you don't have your ID on you anymore?
No.
No ID?
No.
Alright.
Yes, hello.
I just have to run his name. 410, 414 with that individual's name. Last name is going to be Nichols, Nora, Ida, Charlie, Henry, Ocean, Lincoln, Sam. First name, Payne. Is this your last
My
name?
first name, Nicholas. My middle name.
I'm sorry, last name, Payne. Paul, Adam, Young, Nora, Edward. First name, Nichols. Nora, Ida, Charlie, Henry, Ocean, Lincoln, Sam.
Under federal law specifically, 18 United States Code Section 1028, using or possessing a forged identification document at a federal security checkpoint is a felony carrying up to 15 years in federal prison. This is not a state misdemeanor. A federal checkpoint is a federally controlled security environment, and the moment DeMarte presented that document, he triggered federal criminal exposure entirely separate from any state charges that would follow. The subject's flight from the checkpoint is legally significant. Under Illinois v. Wardlow, decided by the Supreme Court in 2000, unprovoked flight from law enforcement contributes to reasonable articulable suspicion. Flight after a federal agent questions the validity of your identification is not neutral behavior. It is a fact deputies are entitled to weigh when determining whether to detain. When deputies located the subject at the rental car facility, they conducted what the law classifies as a Terry stop and investigative detention based on reasonable articulable suspicion. Terry v. Ohio, decided by the Supreme Court in 1968, permits a brief detention when an officer can point to specific articulable facts that, taken together with rational inferences, reasonably warrant the intrusion. Here, those facts were substantial. A confirmed fraudulent ID at a federal checkpoint flight from that checkpoint and a physical description matching the subject. The stop was constitutionally sound. The subject then provided a false name claiming to be Nicholas Payne with a Tennessee driver's license he could not produce. He then misspelled the false name, spelling Nicholas as N-N-I-C-H-O-L-S, dropping the second letter. A person providing their own legal name does not misspell it. This single detail transformed the encounter. Providing a false identity during a lawful detention is an independent criminal act, and a misspelled alias is probable cause crystallized in real time.
So we're going to bring you back there just to get all your information, make sure it's correct. We'll carry this stuff for you.
No, that ain't one right there. That's just one here.
Alright, you face that way. Just put these on.
What is I'm getting the time for?
Just to see, make sure your ID and everything lines up. So face that way for me.
I'm about to see my mama. Can I see my girl?
We'll let you use your phone after all this. Yeah. Do this first. Yes, sir.
I called my mama number for me.
Alright.
I don't know what it is. Hey.
What do you guys gonna grab this?
Yeah, I got it.
What do you guys have? Squad?
Is in your bag? No, that ain't my bag right there. That's my bag right there.
That one's it? That one's yours?
This black one right here, I was seeing.
That's not your bag?
This is your brother?
No, that's my cousin.
This is mine.
You gave him your ID?
No, I gave my brother my ID.
No.
I'm saying, like, what is I'm being detained
We're just
for?
because you snagged an ID at a federal checkpoint.
See, like,
Yeah. So we're just gonna confirm who you are. And
I
then...
don't see how I'm getting detained.
So what happened? What was the issue with the ID?
I'm trying to, I told him I was late for my flight, so I gotta fight this here. I can't even, I'm getting detained, I can't even be on my phone.
You will eventually. We'll go this way. The elevator's open.
I don't understand.
Go before 10.
That's not my bag right there.
Why were you carrying it then? You were at TSA.
He said out of Tennessee.
That's my brother bag. I told you that. He said it right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you had it when you were at TSA.
No, I ain't have that bag.
You never had that bag? Because that looks a lot to me like you had in that bag.
Then I told the whole my brother.
So why do you give your ID to your brother?
You said what I
Like
give?
why do you give the ID to your brother?
You said why I give? Because he asked for it.
He asked you for
Yep.
your ID?
Yep.
For what?
Yup.
Like for what reason?
He said he about to go to TSA and see why they wouldn't let me check in. He can hold my bag real quick. Yeah.
Gotcha. So we're gonna have you sit right here, man.
Can I take off the cover?
Do you want me to pull those up?
No.
I can't. I'm not gonna run over.
Well, of course it's big for it, but
I'm right here. Here, I'm gonna put your phone up here for you. So what was that guy was who? He, the one that we saw in there.
You say who?
The guy that we saw in there when we were walking out. What is he to you?
That's my cousin. I told you that.
So you went, is that ID that he presented his?
He said he gave it to his brother, and his brother left with it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna search you real quick, man.
I don't. What is my probable cause of getting searched?
You're in custody, sir, and to be honest, you're gonna go to jail for misappropriation of ID and interfering with screening procedures. You can't present false IDs.
So I'm gonna have you stand up, face this way. Oh, like I said, dude, it's easier if you just tell us your name. Then, you know what I mean? I'm gonna blade here. Face that way more.
My name is Martel Woods.
Alright, that's your real name?
Yeah.
Alright. So what was the ID name?
You say what?
You
was
don't,
ID?
like, am I gonna find the ID? What,
Yeah.
what is on you?
Yeah.
Where is it?
In my pocket.
In your pocket right here?
Yeah.
Just leave it for now. Wanna go?
Hey, can one of you guys take down his actual name and bring it to us?
Callie?
Yeah.
Stand by. Just search him and add him.
At the point of formal arrest, the Fourth Amendment authorizes a search incident to arrest. This doctrine, established in Schimmel v. California in 1969, permits officers to search the person of the arrestee and the area within his immediate control. The Supreme Court reinforced this in United States v. Robinson in 1973, holding that a custodial arrest based on probable cause is a reasonable intrusion under the Fourth Amendment, and a full search of the person follows as a matter of course. No separate probable cause showing for the search was required. The search of the camouflage backpack recovered more than 150 fraudulent checks totaling over $240,000, along with a debit card that did not belong to him. A records check confirmed he was wanted in Texas for counterfeit checks and possession of a stolen firearm, and in Louisiana for aggravated flight reckless operation and being a convicted felon in possession of a firearm. The airport encounter was not an isolated incident. It was one node in an active multi-state criminal network. DeMart was charged with forgery, receiving stolen property fraud against a financial institution, money laundering theft, and 19 counts of misappropriating identifying information under Wisconsin Statute Section 943.201. He ultimately pleaded guilty to 5 felony counts with the remaining charges dismissed, but read in at sentencing, meaning the court considered the full scope of his conduct when imposing punishment. He was sentenced to 3 years in state prison, 3 years of extended supervision, and 5 years of probation. Deputy Arredondo and the responding Milwaukee County deputies receive an A-. The investigative chain was legally precise at every step, reasonable suspicion at contact, probable cause at arrest, and a lawful search incident to that arrest. The de-escalation posture was professionally executed, with Arredondo giving the subject repeated accurate opportunities to cooperate before charges were formalized. The minor deduction reflects one area for improvement. The probable cause explanation cited general conduct categories rather than specific Wisconsin statutory provisions. Citing the precise statute strengthens the arrest record. Markel DeMart receives a D. He chose a federal checkpoint, one of the most surveilled security environments in public life, as the venue for an identity fraud attempt. He then fled, compounding the original offense. He provided a false name and misspelled it. He denied ownership of his own bag. Each act was an independent criminal exposure layered on the one before it. The single factor preventing an F is that he eventually disclosed his real identity without physical resistance, allowing the investigation to proceed without further obstruction charges. 3 lessons from this encounter. First, a federal security checkpoint operates under federal jurisdiction, and presenting a fraudulent ID at TSA is a federal felony, not a state infraction. Those are parallel prosecutions, and neither cancels the other. Second, a misspelled alias is probable cause. Reasonable suspicion does not require certainty, it requires articulable facts, and a person who cannot correctly spell their own claimed name has provided one. Third, a search incident to arrest requires no independent probable cause showing. Once a lawful arrest exists, the search of the person is constitutionally authorized as a matter of doctrine. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching.